It's time for the Movie Raid movie review. And tonight I'm going to talk about the original Mortal Kombat 1 for the original Mortal Kombat 1 game. Now let's talk about the storyline. I will say it's a little bit too literal as far as progression or something new. And it's not really new. It's based off the actual tournament from Mortal Kombat 1 game, which is fine. But it just didn't really stretch a little bit from that. It didn't make it really anything different, except for the fact it's based off the tournament, which it's not bad. It's not actually good either. Didn't add any pizzazz to it, in my opinion. Now, granted, we get our favorite characters from the Mortal Kombat 1 game into this movie, and that's fantastic. You know, you got Sub-Zero, you got Scorpion, you got Reptile, you got Liu Kang, you got all these guys, and it's great. And even the action sequences, I felt was pretty cool. But I also felt that some of these moves that they were going for was a little bit too basic. It was a little bit too, quick. And now you see me. It's kind of like a now you see me, now you don't. And I almost felt like they were kind of reserved for the main hitters like Scorpion. Now, granted, who's to say he shouldn't get some really cool moves? Obviously so. That's not my point, though. But my point is, some of these moves are just a little bit, alright, that's cool. And then they move on to the next scene, which is okay. I mean, I understand by time-wise, sure. But as far as the story goes, I just felt that, with the characters that was involved with this, you'd think this would have some interesting plots between the characters. Well, the thing is, there really isn't no interesting plots at all. It's just literally just exactly as I said. Tournament, point A, point B, with this character, and even some of these characters are bumped off, leading zero interest for these characters in the upcoming or future, saga of sequels or even spinoffs, which is very disappointing. And even Goro being a very pinnacle character in the Mortal Kombat universe. Very, very disappointing in Mortal Kombat 1 film. Very disappointing because of how they used him. Now, I won't spoil anything, but I was very disappointed because here is a big guy, big, powerful character. And then, when you watch the scene, then it's like, oh, really? That's it? Yep, that's it. That's it. Yeah. So, it's just something that I felt that this film just it's cool. It's a cool movie. Don't get me wrong. It's a good movie for what it was worth, and it was great for the time that it was filmed in. Excellent. The score is excellent. I will say the score is just fantastic the way it is. Every scene became very action-packed, very upbeat, very on your feet. And, of course, there's that traditional Mortal Kombat, love it. And it just definitely makes you want to, go back to playing the video games and just enjoying the characters themselves. Now, I will say, as far as how they perceive the characters from the game, the looks and how they are in this film, let's just start with Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Reptile, how they look. They did a really good job how they look. Like Kano looks like Kano. They didn't try something different. They didn't try to make it some weird, half-assed whatever for, just to make it unique on its own. I mean, I will say it does look a little cheesy on how they produced the movie. The scenery looks a little cheap. Okay, very basic. Very, they just added some low lighting and little fancy camera work here and there, but for the most part, I will say that the characters they did very well. The actors in this film, I think, did very well for the characters. That's a positive thing about this film. I think Robin Shaw, like as Liu Kang, did very well in this film. I think the actor is Kano. I think even Sonya. I think they all did a good job performing in this film and the character that they are. But I do feel that they just didn't add enough for these characters. They should have made this more for the characters as far as layers of their characters, not just meet and greet and then meet and die, or meet and defeat, basically. Instead of meet and greets, meet and defeat. That's how I see it as. Because I want to follow these characters, I want to get to know these characters, or at least get an idea of these concept of characters, like Reptile. Basically, you might as well say he's a cameo in this movie. Yeah, he looks cool for sure. Interesting moves that he had, but it was just weird. Why he ended up into a statue or whatever, and it was just kind of weird. But if you're not watching the other Mortal Kombat films or anything like that, it's just really weird to see something like that, because it's why do you do that? Or let's just say that with Kano has such a short coming as far as character goes. We don't get to see much of more of what Kano. We obviously know the storylines and the backgrounds of these characters in the video games, and they have a very long, rich, interesting background to all of them. But in this case, for this movie, I just felt that it just didn't add much to it. It just didn't add enough of each character. We just kind of just see the very basic, self-explanatory bio, basically, from the game itself. And they could have added more to these characters where they were going. We could have had a little bit more to Liu Kang, because obviously Liu Kang, being this righteous, very, very popular character, a good guy character, at least in this storyline, we could have seen a lot more his interaction with other characters, or at least a couple characters from the other, let's say Mortal Kombat 2, the game. We could at least, see a little bit more cameos or introductions with other characters from Mortal Kombat 2 with these characters, instead of just the same, Mortal Kombat tournament. Shang Tsung. Again, let's talk about Shang Tsung real quick. Shang Tsung's a really cool character, obviously. The actor who plays Shang Tsung, or Shang Tsung, I would say excellent. Great acting, great portrayal of this character. However, once again, it's a point A, point B, and here's the defeat of this character, and it's just very disappointing. I just think that there's just not enough climax or cinematics to these characters at all. And it doesn't make this movie a terrible movie. It doesn't make these characters weak, but it definitely cheapens up the overall look of the film. Is that, we see them, we see see some moves, and then that's basically it. I mean, I don't really want to talk about Sub-Zero, because if I were, it would be about his scene, which I won't say because it would be given a spoiler, but I will just say I'm very, very, very disappointed of how that became, considering how he's a badass character, and this is what happens to him in this movie. I think it's terrible. I think it's so sad to it's like they couldn't find anything else for him to do. But I will say overall this movie has its pros and cons on its own. I don't think it's a great movie. I think it's a cool movie. Like I said, it's with the way it was filmed in the 90s, fantastic. It was a good era. So but I felt like, the scenery was just cheap, cheap looking on the backgrounds and everything like that. Like, but I will say at least they were dedicated to the video game, which is great. I have nothing negative really to say about that. I think it's great, but they made it so literal that they just didn't give any real storyline to any of these characters that would stretch beyond, to these upcoming sequels as we see them now. But they just kind of made it a very, very, cartoony way in this, let's say Mortal Kombat Annihilation, okay? In comparison between Mortal Kombat Annihilation, I will say the acting is much, much better in Mortal Kombat, okay? As far as Mortal Kombat Annihilation, sure, they had other characters, obviously, but it was just so cheesy. But I will say, out of a score, out of a 10, I'm definitely going to give this a 6.7 out of a 10, because it's got a great score. It's got awesome characters from Mortal Kombat, the game, which I highly appreciate that. It's got a decent cast. I think the cast is really good. Great acting of how they portray it. I mean, it's a little cheesy, little campy, but it doesn't make me dislike the movie. I just didn't like the direction that it came. I didn't like the fact that this is literally just the tournament, and that's just, the bare basic. I get it. It's the setup. It's the setup for these characters. But we don't see anything in between. We just see what's going on, and that's it. Which is very disappointing. It could have been much more. Even with the budget they had, I think they definitely could have added a little bit more to it. But overall, it's a cool movie. I have nothing really majorly bad to say about it, but I would have liked to see more out of it than what they already did. But aside from that, it's a cool movie to watch, and others may disagree with this review, but it's definitely a movie to watch. It's definitely even a movie to have. I would say you can even have in your collection along with the other upcoming Mortal Kombat games and movies and anything else. If you're a big Mortal Kombat fan, sure, absolutely. Is it the worst Mortal Kombat movie? No, I don't think it is. Is it the worst movie? No, I don't think it's the worst movie at all. I just think that the direction that this perceived was just too one-dimensional, one direction. I think it could have had a little bit more with the characters. They should have done more with it. They should not just, here it is, even with Shao Kahn being a badass character, again, it just didn't leave anything, wanting to give more to the people that are fans of the game. But that's my score of this on this film. And if you have any comments, please leave one.